No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing? Happy Monday, Bronco Nation. Welcome on into a live edition here of Bronco Nation News Live at BroncoNationNews.com. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We're brought to you by the Blue and Orange Store on a Monday, a Blue and Orange Store edition. Make sure you check out all their great deals and that great clearance rack, second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall. They're right there in the front next to Pro Image. And, of course, our title sponsors, Andy Rowe and RowPaint.com, ROEPaint.com. All your painting needs. Make sure you hit up our title sponsor at RowPaint.com. We're also on the social media channels of KTIK today as Mike Prater is here. Our partnership with KTIK Radio. Mike Prater hosted Prater in the Ball Game 3 to 6 weekdays on KTIK. The Ticket also does some columns and things for us at Bronco Nation News. And every Monday you get to start off your week seeing and hearing from Mike Prater at BroncoNationNews.com. Mike, basketball season is over. A lot to discuss. Football spring camp ramping up with 2 weeks to go. Kind of a dreary, cloudy Monday morning, but a lot to talk about. How we doing?
It's a great Monday morning. It is kind of dreary and cloudy out there, but it's still this kind of final collision of seasons around here. One more basketball game tonight. Boise State wrapped it up over the weekend, and lots of mixed feelings about Boise State basketball. Cannot wait to dive into this one with you. And then, a couple more weeks of football. Starting with the press conference, I think, with Stacey Collins today and another scrimmage this weekend. And then we get to dive next weekend into the spring game. So looking forward to kind of wrapping up this basketball season. Looking forward to diving into some football.
On the post-game show on Saturday, and I told folks that Mike Prater would be here Monday to put a bow on the basketball season. And right away, somebody commented, "Oh, great, a basketball recap with Mike Prater." In terms of we'll see the negativity, the positivity. I think fans can go both ways. They have gone both ways. I think, Mike, at times, this team has underachieved. This team has, done some good things this year, but overall, the season is now complete. 26 wins, 11 losses. Tyson Degenhardt's career is over. They fall in the semifinals of the Crown on Saturday, losing to just a Nebraska team that frankly had one of its best shooting games of the season. I'm not making excuses, whatever, but Boise State just gave them way too many threes, and Nebraska decided to make 12 of them, 12 of 19. They had a guy, Juwan Gary, who was shooting 31% from three, go 4 for 4. And every time Boise State was trying to make a run, they would just hit a huge three. So kudos to Fred Hoiberg and company. They go on and win the crown the next day with a win yesterday over UCF. So Boise State falls to the champion in the tournament, Nebraska. But disappointing. Nebraska's a quality team, but obviously you're up 7 there in midway through the first half. That was a disappointing way to see it finish up.
Yeah, I suppose it was. But, at this point, how I felt about the Crown tournament. Was never really impressed with that tournament. And, kudos for them putting it on. And it turned out to be a pretty decent little show. And maybe its future in college basketball is spectacular. But, I take exception to that guy that thought another negative basketball wrap up from Prater. I thought it was a good season. Now, outside of not getting an NCAA tournament win, and I guarantee you there's a basketball family down there at Boise State who's 10 times more disappointed in not getting that NCAA tournament victory. But outside of that, they checked 9 of 10 boxes this year. And to sit here and say this season, in the past, you've heard me say if they don't win an NCAA tournament game, this season was a failure. Well, this season wasn't even close to a failure. I thought it was a good season. I thought it was a spectacular season. And I think they did a lot of good things in terms of this program and growing this program and what Leon Rice is trying to build down there. The Tyson Degenhardt story speaks for itself. The way this basketball team was throughout this season, the nice little postseason run that they went on. I thought it was good. I really enjoyed this basketball season. I really enjoyed this team. My favorite part about this basketball team was just the way that this team loved each other. And it's one thing to say it. And we've heard lots and lots of coaches and players say it over the years. You've heard all the crappy, stuff that's out there, BJ. I don't care what sport it was, whether it was your Blues or my Knights or Steelers or Boise State football or basketball. When they say it, sometimes it doesn't mean it. And I thought that this team was genuine. I thought that they really liked each other. I thought that there was a family environment and the chemistry was really cool. This was a really, really fun basketball team to watch. And I think they squeezed everything they could out of it, except for that one NCAA tournament win.
Where's Mike Prater? What's you do with him here? I'm not getting the.
Well, no, I've been pretty consistent about that with this team all season.
You have,
and each team is different, and each team is, there's been other times where teams I think are just going through the motions, or I think that they woefully underachieved. And this team, what 1 or 2 victories away from an all-time score record. If you match it together with the 4-year run that they've been on so far, I just think it's really cool. Plus, who doesn't love Tyson Degenhardt? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and spoil that dude's party.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm going to sit here and cry because watching Tyson Degenhardt and interacting with him and becoming close to him and all of us. I mean, it's the Tyson Degenhardt effect is real, and it was really, really fun to watch Tyson Degenhardt do his thing, especially the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a minute. I want to spend a few more minutes talking about him. But, it's interesting, Mike, because I agree with you because I've always said if you're a Boise State sports fan, and most fans are, football first, basketball second, and if that is the case for you, I've always said what the years I have defended Leon, and everyone wants to say, oh, how was Easter brunch at his house, all this stuff. I get it, but I've always said you should just, if you have a top 25 playoff caliber football team, you should just want a basketball team that's going to keep you entertained till spring ball, get you closer to the next football season. Just have a basketball team that's going to compete near the top of the conference, win somewhere around 20 games. Most of the games, even when they lose, are close, exciting games, like a fun team with fun players to talk to listen to and to follow and watch, and a program that runs it the right way and is respectful, and hope to be there in the end for some sort of postseason berth and be playing meaningful basketball in March. And that's what I've always as long as you get that out of a basketball team when your football team is as good as this football team. Now, Leon Rice might challenge that and say that's not good enough, whatever. But like if you're a Boise State sports fan and you have a football team that come August here is going to be in the mix for another college football playoff berth, like just keep me entertained till spring ball. Get me 3 months closer to next year's football season. And I think they did that, and they do that most years. And that's why I've always defended them and said, you're not – the expectations sometimes are, I think, a little too high around here. But with that said, I actually do think that you can make an argument this year was a disappointing season here. I mean, you had Tyson Degenhardt's senior year. You had the year Alvaro Cardenas had. And maybe disappointing versus satisfying. I mean, there's different ways you can phrase it. It can be disappointing, but it can also be enjoyable, I guess, too, or however you phrased it, Mike, because I don't think you're wrong. I certainly think this was a fun team to watch. They had a lot of great games. If a game against Utah, a shot against Utah State or Colorado State is different, they probably are in the tournament. But is making the tournament and losing in Dayton, you got the extra 2 weeks down on the crown. I don't know. But I will just say this. The expectations going in, preseason pick to win the league, you finish fifth. And I also think that's where expectations are for this team now, Mike, getting to the NCAA tournament, which shows you how much Leon Rice has elevated this program, that now you do have a decent number of fan base that if they don't make the tournament, it is seen as a failure or a disappointing season, no matter what happens in these other tournaments. And so I think it's a good thing for Boise State basketball that the expectations have been raised, where some fans are disappointed and upset. And I think you could easily make a case. Yes, this was end all be all at the end of its fun season, but still disappointing that they didn't get to the tournament given the roster and the preseason expectations and what they thought they had. But at the same time, you're not wrong. It was a fun team to watch. They won 26 games. They were 1 win away from tying the school record. You got to literally watch Boise State basketball only till 2 days before the actual season is over. And they had some fun characters, interesting guys. And I also think, Mike, you saw in that tournament a glimpse of the future here. And there's a lot of reasons that we're going to talk about to be excited if they can hang on to a Pearson Carmichael and a Meadow and a Buchanan and all these guys. I think that the future, some fans don't want to hear it, but they'll probably, they got the UCLA point guard, and they'll probably be another similar spot next year, picked near the top of the conference, and a team that will be fun to watch and probably be right there trying to fight for the tournament in February and March. So fun season to cover. As you said, great group of guys, personalities, the RJ Keens, all those guys. But I do think that, you get Leon in a, quiet moment. He might, well, you did, so maybe he would already have said this, but I think a small portion of them, especially in Tyson's senior year, picked first to win the league. Probably a little disappointing that they didn't get back to the tournament.
Well, yeah, it's definitely disappointing, and they got to win this NCAA tournament. They got to get this monkey off their back, because it's really the albatross that holds this program back in terms of the perception. If they can win an NCAA tournament game, and I don't care if it's in Dayton, I don't care where it is, I don't care how it happens, that this program needs to happen. But first and foremost, Leon Rice, the regular season and the postseason is gone. And in college basketball, college sports today, especially with the House settlement today, big news coming up, the House settlement, a giant, massive court case going on in California today that will decide the future of athletics and a lot of details too. It's a massive period of time. But you know what, Boise State basketball, if they can win this offseason, which is way more important than this past season for me, and you mentioned the 3 or 4 or 5 key guys. We had Javen Buchanan on our show last week, and whether it was a fair question or not, I asked him, I said, dude, can you promise us that you're coming back? You're so exciting. This was after his 27-point performance the other night. And he said, I can't, dude. I can't. I'm focused on this game, and I can't promise you that. And it makes you nervous when somebody says that. It makes you nervous when there isn't the full-on commitment. And are they going to lose 1, 2, 3? They've already lost 2, but that's okay. Those 2, that they lost were not part of the 9-man rotation. It's very important that Leon Rice today, moving forward, wins the offseason, and he's got to win that NCAA tournament game. That's got to happen. This cannot linger for another 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's an albatross that really, really is limiting the perception of this basketball program, and they got to get it won. They got to win a game. But at the bottom line, I thought that this season was fine. I enjoyed it. And I'm selfish that way. I kind of base the basketball season on my enjoyment. Yeah. And I went to every game after Christmas at home and sat in the stands as a fan with my family. And I thought it was a really cool season. I really, really enjoyed it. And I really miss Tyson Degenhart already.
Yeah. And like I said, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, did you have fun going to the games? Are there fun personalities on the team? Did you get entertained with most of the games being close? And did it get you 3 months closer to the next football season? If that's the case, then yeah. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it's kind of true. Like,
it is true.
I mean, it's like sometimes like, oh, wait till football season. But if your football team stinks, then no. Basketball, like New Mexico, basketball is what they have. New Mexico, like that's it. But for Boise State football, like that will always unfortunately be the top dog in this town. And I think Boise State basketball is more than giving you enough to, given we've talked about it, the budget differences and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they're still, the stats say they're still doing more with less, even though I do think I saw somebody in here, Mike, what did I say here? To Leon's defense, it sounds like previous ADs left the basketball program out to dry. JD finally making some basketball moves. I don't know all the exact details, but I mean, they have obviously raised the charters, raised some of the budgets. I mean, they're continuing to do that. And I know Leon and JD and Cody, they have a very good relationship. And I know they're trying to do more now with that Bronco Pro, as you said, bringing all the NIL stuff in-house. And obviously the UCLA point guard is a nice place to start. They've got a couple other spots, but it's funny because Andrew Meadow or Pearson Carmichael, I was rewatching that game, Mike Prater, and literally Jim Jackson, I think it's Jim Jackson, right? Or on the call of the game is like encouraging tampering with NIL. He's like, oh man, Pearson Carmichael, another 3. There's a lot of teams that would love to have this kid on their roster or whatever he said. But I mean, that is, the day and age of college basketball. I had heard there was at least one Big Ten team that literally called him or his dad the morning after he scored 21 points against whoever that was, New Mexico or somebody in his first career start a couple months ago. So, coaches were flipping the channel watching those games. But the point is, Pearson Carmichael looks like, I don't want to say he's the next Tyson Degenhart, but he looks like the next kind of guy to carry the torch here. Andrew Meadow, as well, a very solid player, but in terms of being a freshman and kind of taking that next step, I mean, if you can keep Carmichael and keep Meadow and keep Buchanan and keep Bowie, I mean, those are kind of the 4 young core right there. And they have a full offseason to work. I mean, think about a guy like Carmichael and what his improvement this offseason is going to be, getting that taste of playing and knowing what it takes to play at this level and the confidence he has. And I didn't even bring up Keene and the role that he has on this team, but there's no reason why this team can't be right there near the top of the Mountain West again next year, Mike.
Yeah, they certainly got some holes to fill. And even if he brings in a couple more players, he's going to go, 67% in the transfer portal. I think that's the going rate. That's not a knock on Leon. And, you're not going to hit on everybody. I'm not going to get too fired up and excited about a UCLA point guard just because by title, he's a UCLA point guard. They need a point guard, and it seems like on paper that they went and got themselves a good one. But, we said that about Anderson last year, and just everybody kind of chill. So I'm not going to get too excited about a player that I can't see. I'm taking the Spencer Danielson approach. I'm not judging you till I see you with my very own eyes. I trust my eyes, and which means I want to see the first month of the season and see where this cat is and see what he does, and certainly see what Leon Rice can do, not losing any of these other players. If he loses one of these players, the 4 core that you talked about, to me, that's devastating. He needs to go off and find a big man. He's got a lot to replace here. I love Pearson Carmichael in terms of replacing Tyson Degenhart. To me, if they can keep him here, that's a no-brainer. And I think that career trajectory is going to be the same in terms of what we saw with Tyson Degenhart. So I'm excited about that. A point guard here, some playmakers there. I need maybe a more consistent shooter. When this basketball team seems like it gets in trouble, it's because this offense stalls. I'd like to see them do a deep dive and a self-scout on this offense and try to figure that out. At one point, I was a little turned off by Tim Duryea and his offense, and was, I even wrote a half a column for BNN about, do they need to think about replacing, Tim Duryea? And I threw it away. I spiked it, deleted it, and moved on. And I don't think that they need to replace the coaching staff. I love the coaching staff because they're veterans. They bring a lot of intangibles, but they need to do a self-scout on this offense, period, and try to make sure that they can get rid of some of the hiccups that they have with this offense. And defensively, I thought was kind of exposed throughout the year. I guarantee you that Mike Burns didn't sleep very well in Las Vegas, the way his defense performed, but I'm not overly worried about the defense. I thought maybe that was just kind of a more of the scenario in the scene. And it seemed like this was the kind of tournament where guys were just having fun and the offense was flowing, and it just kind of worked out that way. But the offense moving forward is the one that scares me the most, BJ.
And I will say that the numbers don't necessarily line up with our eye test on the offense, because we how many times in a game would the shot clock go off and they didn't even get a shot off, or someone's jacking one up from half court, and at times the offense didn't look great. The 3-point percentage was one of the worst 3-point percentages in program history. 283rd is what it finished up in the country in 3-point shooting at just 31.7%. So they've got to find a 3-point shooter. And maybe that is a Carmichael and Meadow and those guys improving and having bigger roles, but I think they need to find somebody in the transfer portal that can shoot threes. So I would agree with you on that, Mike, but then you look up and it was the 3rd highest offensive number they've ever had in the Ken Pom era in 29 years. And the best, in more than a decade, the best since Tim Duryea's been here. So I'm not, it's funny because I agree with you, but then you look at the numbers and the numbers would actually say differently in terms of the efficiency of the overall offense, but into some of the individual 3-point shooting, like I said, didn't line up. So I don't know how they factor all this in, but
Yep.
theoretically they had the number 39 offense in the country, and I know numbers can spin it any way you want to spin it. But yes, there are some parts of the offense, and I think 3-point shooting is a big one. I would also say, and I agree with you, like hyping up transfers and all this, like, let's wait and see. I do agree, but you can make an argument, at least on paper, this is the best transfer they've ever added, because I'll give you the quick 30 seconds why. I mean, what they typically get is guys that have put up big numbers at smaller schools, like a Marcus Shaver at Portland, a Milad Narmouche at an East Tennessee State, where they're proven players, but at a lower level. A Javen Buchanan puts up all these numbers at the NAIA level and has to come prove it at Division I, or they get the guys from the Power Four that have done nothing. Emmanuel Akot coming from Arizona, 1 point a game. You had, Abu Kijab, 2 points a game at Arizona. You had Chibuzo Abo, 1.4 points at Texas Tech. So they usually get the guys coming, quote unquote, down a level to the 4-star guys that are coming down a level that haven't proven it, haven't done anything at the Power 4 level, or the guys that put up big numbers at the smaller schools. Well, this guy's actually done both. I mean, he's a 2-year starter at UCLA, and 2 years ago, he averaged 13 points a game in the Pac-12. He averaged 13 points a game and had 31 points in the Pac-12 tournament against Oregon State. Last year, they changed the offense a little bit. He still started every game. His numbers came down a little bit, but I would say he's a proven Power 4 player, and I don't think you can really say that about many that Boise State's ever brought in. So I know Nathan Carroll in his article said you can make a strong argument he's the, as crazy as it sounds, the best transfer they've ever brought in from a proven what he's done at the Power 4 level. He's done it. 2-year starter in the Power 4, and Boise State's never done that. So we'll wait and see. I'm not trying to say this kid's going to come in and be the player of the year in the Mountain West next year, but on paper, he's the best addition they've had from the transfer portal probably ever.
Yeah, and you're not wrong, but on paper, he also had a season last year with a red flag. And for me, the biggest thing is, and this is a good problem to have, Alvaro Cardenas just spent a year spoiling the crap out of us. We just watched the best point guard in the history of Boise State basketball, at least the most productive, the most efficient, in the traditional point guard sense, the way he changed this program. He changed Leon Rice forever. Leon Rice, the whole European point guard tag. I mean, this kid from UCLA is not going to give me the European point guard tag that Leon Rice is so fallen in love with. But as long as he can get that style of play and the production out of the UCLA kid, that's fine. But Alvaro Cardenas completely spoiled us and raised the bar. So this kid's coming off of a bad season in terms of a red flag from UCLA, and now he's got to go off and match the expectations of what Cardenas left us and that stuff. So you're not wrong. I'm not wrong. That's the transfer portal game as we know it today. It's kind of a cat and mouse hit and miss kind of thing. So I'm glad they got him. It's exciting. I'm glad they got him early and created some waves. Now you got to go off and make sure you can retain the rest of your roster, and you got to go off and fill in a couple of other holes. But I think it's fine. But just to sit here and say that he's going to make Boise State basketball next year better, I need to see it on the court before I can get too fired away about that.
Kurt says that I said the same thing about my boy Cardenas. I would say Alvaro Cardenas, I did hype him up last year because I thought he'd be a solid addition, and I thought he exceeded expectations, Mike Prater. 1 year of Alvaro Cardenas, 11.5 points per game, 6.9 assists to only 2.5 turnovers. A 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio is very good. He didn't shoot the three ball as well as they thought he could. Got a little better later in the season, but started every game, I believe, played 35 minutes a game, scored in double figures, 7 assists a game. I think Alvaro Cardenas was even better than we thought. I thought he had a great season.
I would agree, except for the shooting part, very inconsistent, and that drove me crazy. But sometimes when you get to traditional point guard, the way he takes care of the basketball, distributes the basketball, the way he creates flow with an offense, you don't have to. It might even be better if you're a 3-point outside shooting sharpshooter is not the point guard that's creating the flow and doing what he's supposed to do as the point guard. So, but yeah, a little inconsistent with the shooting. But Alvaro Cardenas was spectacular, and will not forget his contribution to Boise State basketball for a long time. He was so much fun to watch, a great leader. I think he cared, probably meant more so to this basketball team behind the scenes and what he brought to the table. And I thought it was really cool. So great for him. And now the next guy steps up, and we'll see what he can do. I'm going to guess that it's going to be pretty difficult to match what Cardenas did this year, but hey, let's give the UCLA kid a shot How many years of eligibility does he have? What, 2? Is it 2 or 3? Is it 2?
I believe it's 2. It's kind of this. You never know. This thing's crazy. I believe it's 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only thing that sucked about Cardenas.
Yes.
It was the fastest year ever. And that kind of stinks, but hey, that's college basketball today.
All right, I want to some more topics here. I want to touch on Omar Stanley's season and a couple of other things here as well. And then I do want to get Mike's, kind of big picture football takes too as we dive back into football this week. Stacey Collins will meet with the media at 11 a.m. today. So we'll talk some football, but I want to keep it on basketball for a little bit longer here. But first, I want to thank a couple sponsors that make this show free of charge for you guys to watch here on YouTube, on Facebook, on X. And it starts with our title sponsor, Andy Rowe and rowpaint.com. All your painting needs. Rowpaint.com is where you guys need to go. The weather is starting to warm up here in the spring. Perfect time to get that concrete coating done on that back patio. We had it done at our old house. It changed the look of our back patio. Thinking about doing it on this house as well here in the near future, but it's transformational. I highly recommend the concrete coatings, more affordable than you think as well. And they can do your garage, your basement, any kind of ugly concrete slab, but you want to go from a nice back patio to one that people are like, holy crap, that thing looks legit. Get a concrete coating from rowpaint.com. They're online. They'll come out and give you a free estimate, talk you through the process, then you can make your decision. That's online, roepaint.com, Andy Rowe and rowpaint.com. Hey, TacoBellWorks.com is the website for the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family. If you're looking to get a job, they are hiring. Get more information on there. You can also stop by one of their Treasure Valley Taco Bell locations. Got the paperwork right there in the front when you walk in. So great promotional opportunities, free food while you work, half the wages up to the next day after your shift. And the food's pretty darn good as well. So Treasure Valley Taco Bell, we appreciate them for their support of Bronco Nation News. We mentioned Tyson Degenhart, ICCU.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, they took care of him, helped keep him in Boise, and now it's time for you to return the favor. You'll be happy. Mike Prater is happy he made the switch to ICCU. You will be as well. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest, that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. Make the switch today. Idaho Central Credit Union. Hey, Jackson's has that $5 meal deal going on. 2 hot dogs and a kettle chips for $5 at Jackson's. That's right. Use your Let's Go Rewards app. You get 2 hot dogs and a kettle chips for just $5, and they do have that 99-cent coffee going on anytime, day or night. Get that coffee, 99 cents, using your Let's Go Rewards app at Jackson. Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game, whether it's a sauna, whether it's a spa, whether it's a pool table, they got you covered at Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game. Locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. Get more information online. Check out everything they can do for you at thespateam.com. All right, there was a comment in here, Mike. One of the greater mysteries of the season was Omar Stanley and kind of what happened with him. We don't really know, so I don't want to speculate too much and really dive into what happened. But obviously, he had a disappointing season. Obviously, something, whether it was another injury we don't know about, whether there was, I don't know. But Omar Stanley, and I hate to pin it on one person, but I've told a lot of people that have asked, like, what's the one reason Boise State didn't make the NCAA tournament? What's the one reason they were picked first and finished 5th? If you had to point to one thing, and I hate to say it, but Omar Stanley wasn't the Omar Stanley of last year. A lot of these projections saw Omar Stanley playing at a first-team All-Mountain West type level as he was projected to do, and he didn't even make honorable mention this year. I mean, he obviously struggled. They got some production from Ugbo, but it wasn't the same even when you combine kind of their stats together. And so I feel terrible for Omar. I don't really know what was going on. I don't want to, like I said, it's not my business to get into personal stuff and speculate. I don't know what happened. But again, there were a lot of reasons. It wasn't Omar Stanley's fault that they had the year they had. But I do think that a productive Omar Stanley changes the look of this team this year.
There's no doubt about that. And for me, if there was one thing about this basketball team that really I thought could have made a difference was the better shooting. And I'll just leave it at that because we kind of touched on that. As far as Omar Stanley goes, it's a fascinating storyline. And I spent a couple of hours over a couple of days with Leon Rice for the column that I wrote for BNN last week, and some things came up, and we had some pretty in-depth conversations about what was going on with Omar Stanley. I don't want to share all of them or most of it. I will say this though: at one point, Leon Rice in summer gym last year, when these guys were all playing basketball, walked out of a summer gym practice, and he looked at one of his assistant coaches, and he goes, "Guys, we're making a mistake. Why are we promoting Tyson Degenhart for Player of the Year? Omar Stanley is the best player on our basketball team." Those are exact words that came out of Leon Rice's mouth. The way he was playing last summer, they really walked out of that gym thinking that Omar Stanley could be the best player on this basketball team. And he went into this basketball season with a lot of preseason hype and a lot of preseason love, and was supposed to be one of the dominant players, not only on this basketball team, but in the entire conference. And at times he showed that. And at times he didn't. I don't know if it was, physicality was part of it, the physical part of it, the mental side of it was part of it. It seems like every time Omar Stanley got good and successful and things were kind of going his way, he took a step back, and that was always kind of frustrating to see, the 2 steps forward, the 1 step back kind of syndrome. And it seems like that kind of hit Omar Stanley today. I know he was juggling some physical stuff there toward the end. He went through some whatever he went through throughout the basketball season. It was a different kind of a thing for Omar Stanley, but the physical tools were there. And it just didn't click for him, and you have to feel bad. He opened up later on in the season about some family issues, his dad being in prison, and all that kind of stuff. I think it all kind of put it all into a pot and kind of let it simmer and stew, and that's kind of what you get with Omar Stanley. So it was too bad that he didn't realize the potential that he had, but I still think in the transfer portal era, if you're asking me if Omar Stanley overall was a success, yeah, he was. Do they wish they got more out of him? Absolutely they do. Does he wish he got more out of it? Absolutely. Does he have a chance to go make a little bit of money playing basketball? That's for him to kind of figure out once he gets his mind right, and once he gets take a little bit of a break and try to figure out what's going on. But Omar Stanley is a good cat. He's a good dude. When he was on, he was fun to watch, and when he wasn't, it was very perplexing and very odd.
Yeah, he was another guy that hadn't really done much at St. John's. I think was averaging 4 or 5 points a game or something, and they saw something there and brought him in. And that first year there 2 years ago, he just had an incredible year. I mean, he had 30 points in a couple of games. I mean, he had a massive year, and that was kind of fueling the expectations when you're going, oh, Cardenas, with Tyson and Omar, oh, man, and so hate to see it, feel bad for him, obviously, and we may never know exactly what happened there. But that was, in my mind, a big unfortunate storyline this year was his kind of, I don't know if regression's the right word, but just didn't have the year he had 2 years ago. And that was a big factor for whatever reason, whether the foot injury came back again, or I have no idea, but that was unfortunately a big part of the season. And then the 3-point shooting, as you said, Mike. I mean, this team, I think they thought they were going to be a better 3-point shooting team than they were. I think they believe Andrew Meadows a better 3-point shooter than he. He was streaky at times, but the numbers are what they are: 31.7%, 283rd in the country, and they were 157th the year before with Abo and Max Rice. So they dropped over 140 points in 3-point shooting when they lost Max Rice and Chibuzo Abo and were unable, to replace those guys. And if I'm going on the fly here, Mike Prater, I'm guessing, 2 years ago, 2023, they were 88th in the country in 3-point percentage, 35.6%. Wow. So their 3-point percentage in 2 years went down 4% and got 200 spots worse in college basketball just in 2 years. And I'm guessing while we're talking, if I could keep looking here, that where they finished in 3-point shooting is one of the worst probably in program history in terms of the 284th or whatever I said it was. So the 3-point shooting really struggled. Carmichael can help with that. It looks like he hit 3 or 4 there against Nebraska. I think Meadows a better 3-point shooter. Obviously, Julian Bowie can shoot it if he gets more playing time. So I think some of the corrections are guys that are on the team because love Tyson, love Cardenas, but both those guys didn't have great years shooting the 3-pointer. No. Omar, shooting the 3 some, Ugbo. So I think you have some of your better 3-point shooters coming back. And then if you can add another guy that can shoot the 3, but that would be an area for me is just shooting. And I know in the transfer portal, their name's been connected to a couple guys who are just spot up, JJ Redick style, just 3-point arsonists. And that's kind of what they need probably on this team next year.
That's 100% exactly what they need. So, just the kind of guy just the sharpshooter guy. And I'm not even sure it matters what else he can do. Yeah, play a little bit of defense, be a tough dude, and rebound like Leon Rice wants his basketball teams to do. But yeah, they need that guy. And all the guys that you talked about, the Carmichaels and the Meadow. And Meadow kind of had some flash early on in the season. And I think we made a big deal of the fact, didn't like 45,000 shots last summer, 42,000, whatever number it seemed like they were throwing around out there. And early on in the season, it looks like, it's clicking. It's working for him. And it just didn't get consistent over the course of the entire year. I was trying to think. So he's ended up being a 35% shooter, which is probably number 1 on the team in terms of 3-point shot percentage, but that's still not good enough. 32% shooting as a team. So yeah, I need some more of that. I need 42,000 more shots this summer. And same with you, Carmichael. But the fun about Carmichael is he can bring it inside, he can bring it outside. I don't necessarily need him to be the sharpshooter. He can be a shooter, and he's really a good shooter. But I think that guy brings a lot of other stuff to the table too. I love it when he moves inside and the way he takes care of his body and takes care of it in the paint. So to me, keeping a hold of Pearson Carmichael is the number one chore for Leon Rice. I would imagine that kind of guy, come on, BJ, that kind of guy is going to get $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 offers this offseason. That's crazy money. And there's no way that Boise State can match that, but maybe they can pull an Ashton Genty. Boise State can always compete when it comes to taking care of one guy. They can't always compete, though, when it comes to taking care of the entire roster.
You could make a strong case that, like, getting Pearson Carmichael to come back is bigger than anybody else you could add in the transfer portal or any other players you could sign. Like, if you can get Pearson Carmichael back and build your team around him for next season, I think that would be just a huge deal. And based on conversations I've had, bumping into his dad at road games and things like that, I believe they like it here. I believe they want to stay, and Boise State is trying to do what they can to make that happen. But as I said, when Jim Jackson's literally during the broadcast mentioning, a lot of coaches probably watching this game would love to have him. Well, all it takes is a phone call and to a booster, and that could be the end of it. But I think Boise State has a lot to offer. You heard the comment from Spencer Danielson about, I don't remember the exact phrase that he said, but when they're talking about the transfer portal, it's not always necessarily money versus happiness and location and things like that and comfort level. And, we'll see what happens there. But if they can hang on to Carmichael, which I would say right now probably is trending in that direction to hang on to him. But again, the tournament in Vegas may have changed things because he had a couple of good games on national TV. Who knows? But if they can keep the guys they have and add another guy or two in the portal, they really like a couple of the kids that are redshirting, the Dominic Parolin kid, the Ethan Lathan, who's redshirting, the 6'11" kid. And then they're bringing in Spencer Aarons, a 4-star from Canada who just won the 3-point contest at some Canadian tournament. He's another guy that's came to Boise State in part because he thought he could play right away, and he's a very similar build to a Tyson. So they feel pretty good about the roster, but obviously have a couple things to kind of shore up. But I guess we'll have plenty of time to discuss the offseason, Mike. But overall, disappointing finish, but in your mind, still a I don't know if a successful is the right word, but a entertaining, fun basketball season.
Yeah, not even go as far as saying successful. I mean, come on, even a jaded Prater can't say that 26 wins isn't successful. So they just missed the one win that everybody is hoping for, that one NCAA tournament win, and we'll see how that plays out. And certainly they need to take care of that. But I thought it was a fun season. It was an entertaining season. I don't feel when a Boise State basketball, and I've always been very clear about this. I'm not a huge basketball guy, and I'm a hardcore football guy. And even Leon Rice makes fun of me about that. But usually in the past, when Boise State basketball is over, it's like, okay, I don't have to deal with those guys anymore. Full attention, full steam ahead when it comes to football. And when I watched Saturday's game, and that was kind of sad. The season was over. Maybe it was because of the connection that we have with Tyson Degenhart. For all of us, the connection has become somewhat personal. He makes himself so available. He's been in this studio several times. I know he's done your show. He's done BNN's. He does his own show on BNN. The dude puts himself out there and makes himself accessible, and he makes himself successful, and it's really fun to watch. It was sad when this basketball season ended. So we'll deal with it. We'll move on, and we'll get our football pants back on and get out there with Spencer Danielson, starting with a press conference today at 11 o'clock, more practices, and then the spring game next week. But it was a different kind of a basketball season. I think it leaves us with a little bit of a positive. Boise State basketball seasons usually don't end on a positive note. And I'm not saying losing the other day to Nebraska is a positive note, but I can walk away from this basketball season, at least I can, thinking that was fun. This basketball team made progress. It was enjoyable, and it's something to build on. Now you just have to go off and do it. And I'm telling you one more thing about Peanut Carmichael. If they lose him, that will be devastating, not only for the sign of things to come ahead, but just the immediate news release of, because I think everybody sees what Pearson Carmichael can bring to the table and how we can elevate this basketball program and the things that he does on a basketball court. Losing him would be devastating. Leon Rice, do whatever you possibly can. You got to be able to keep Pearson Carmichael.
Well, Travis Hawks, Matt Bauscher, the whole crew. Yeah, do whatever you can. Yeah, they're going to have to circle the wagons in terms of the NIL money and things like that, probably for this one. And I agree with you, Mike. And I'm glad you said that in terms of the successful season. But I guess that just shows you the elevation, like I said, of this program and of Leon Rice and what he's done at this program. Where now 26 wins, one away from the school record, a postseason semifinal appearance, all the things they did this year. And yet to some, it was it's a season that didn't meet expectations, a subpar season. And Boise State basketball is now winning 26 games in some people's eyes. So, but you know what? Like, if that's the bad season out of the last 4, that's pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, you make a tournament 3 years in a row. Like, that's just where the expectations are. Now, next year, obviously, yeah, you got to probably get back to the tournament. Or, if you have another crown appearance, we're probably not having the same feeling or thought this time next year. So, I'm not saying we're giving them a free pass, but that was the one kind of quote unquote down year. And you're okay with that when they still win 26 games. But now it's like, okay, let's see what this roster looks like and this team looks like next year, and then we'll have the pitchforks out next year if it's a similar season. But fun season, I would say successful season, but can still be disappointed that they didn't make the tournament, disappointed with the finish. And I really thought that was a team that was going to win that tournament, Mike. I really thought they had something going and just ran into a hot shooting Nebraska team, and at least Nebraska won the tournament the next day to kind of finish the job there. And so now the attention turns to the portal the next couple of weeks. I think it's open for another 2.5 weeks or so. Is that it? Or 3 weeks? Or something like that. And so we'll see what happens behind the scenes and then start to put this roster. I mean, they're going to the Maui Invitational next year. They're planning to aggressively schedule again. So, I mean, I think their pieces are going to be in place for this team to have a chance to be successful and be high in the numbers and all that next year. And we'll just kind of see what that group looks like here in the next month or so. Big month ahead, 3 weeks, month, whatever it is, for keeping players, for adding players, for Leon Rice and this basketball season. All right, we'll wrap up for a couple quick football thoughts here, but want to thank a lot of our great sponsors, including the Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. This is a Blue and Orange Store Monday. Folks, you're watching a free show here on social media. Whether you love our takes or hate our takes, you're entertained by them, and you're getting that for free here on social media. So support the sponsors, return the favor, including the Blue and Orange Store, second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall there, right next to Pro Image. Head on in, get your Boise State gear, and you can order online as well, anywhere in the world at theblueandorangestore.com. The best selection, the best prices. Support our sponsors, folks, and that includes the Blue and Orange Store. That also includes Lithia Ford of Boise. They're taking care of trying to keep some of these guys here on NIL deals and things. So Lithia Ford of Boise, they've got vehicles for student athletes, vehicles for coaches, vehicles for administrators. Next time you're looking for that car or truck purchase, return the favor. One of the biggest supporters of Boise State athletics is Lithia Ford of Boise. Jim Sturk, Jamie Drake and company, they do a tremendous job. Check them out, Lithia Ford of Boise at lithiafordboise.com. I mentioned Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Check them out online. Again, BauscherRealEstate.com is their website, BauscherRealEstate.com. You will not be disappointed. Great service. You'll be very happy if you make the switch. Whether, everyone he knows 5 friends that are realtors, but Matt is ready to help you out. No home is too big or too small for him and his team, and one quick call could get you great value, great deal for your purchase or your sale with Bauscher Real Estate, BauscherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, 13 locations in the state of Idaho. Great grocery store. Appreciate them. Download that Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Find one near you at shopridleys.com. Transportation Compliance Service. If you want to get into the trucking industry, every step of the way, if you're looking for a new job, think about the trucking industry. Get more information online at transcomservice.com. And Mike, as much as I loved eating at Barry's and all the fine spots in Vegas at Circa Resort and Casino, I've already made my order for the week for Lean Feast. Got on the scale this morning and it was not good. So we're diving back in. LeanFeastMeridian.com. 10,000 plus combinations, healthy eating options. You can do it at Lean Feast Meridian, leanfeastmeridian.com. Great meal prep service. Appreciate Dave and company and looking forward to having a bite to eat after the show here. And if you want to leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/BNN. If you agree, disagree with me, Prater, whoever, let us know. Speakpipe.com/BNN. Brought to you by Signature Roofing online at mysignatureroofing.com. Whether it's a re-roof, repair, an estimate, and inspection, they've been covering our community for more than 2 decades. Hit them up at Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com. All right, Mike, final minute or two here. Anyone that has been focused on basketball like myself, who's been down there at the Crown, hasn't been as dialed in on football here, or 2 weeks to go, practice this week, practice next week, and then the spring game on the 19th. We're going to talk to Stacey Collins today. I'm sure the Andrew Simpson transfer will pop up there. Obviously, the Braxton Feely transfer has been a big thought here as well, and that's one of the bigger storylines is, can you keep the dam from breaking here? Do they not lose anybody else? What kind of happens, in terms of the portal? But for you, big picture here, I guess 12 days from the spring game, what are, either a couple takeaways to this point or questions you still have, storylines for the spring here for folks that are now diving back into football like myself?
Yeah, for me, it's I'm back on my heels, and I'm back on my heels as an observer of this program, waiting for the next domino to fall when it comes to the transfer portal. Already, Feely and Simpson, like you said, have kind of rocked this program, and I don't think we saw either one of those coming. The transfer portal leaves us numb, and nothing is going to shock us anymore. But just in the middle of camp, it was new, it was different, it was impact players, and it was really, really important. The transfer portal for football opens 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, the transfer portal for football officially opens. So we're going to keep an eye on that over these next couple of weeks. That's very scary. I have this weird feeling that Boise State football is going to lose another player or two, and hopefully it's not an impact. The middle of that defense at Boise State has really been rocked between Simpson and Feely, and they're going to have to scramble. I don't know what they're going to do with the D-line. I watched it. I went to practice last week and watched the D-line extensively, and they're rotating in 4 or 5 or 6 guys that, behind the scenes, the guys that we didn't really expect to be difference makers right now, they've been put in that role. Maybe Spencer Danielson thought they were going to be difference makers no matter what, but I certainly didn't have them high on my depth chart, and now everybody kind of has to move up a spot. So I'm a little worried about the transfer portal when it comes to football and how all that's going to work out. Sometimes these things can come in rashes, and hopefully they don't get up to 3 or 4 or 5 losses on the transfer portal, but the 2 now were big, massive hits. So get through, get by. We'll see what happens. At this point, I don't think we're going to see any Sire gains. I think his spring is going to be a complete total wash, which, last year Ashton Genty did nothing in the spring, but that was by design. And I know this one's kind of by design, but this one's by forced design because his body just isn't reacting. And I'm a little worried about the future of Sire gains. But the cool part is Breezy's still hanging in there, and then Malik Sherrod's been a rock star this spring, right? If the season started this coming weekend, Malik Sherrod would be your starting running back, and I don't think I'd be worried about that the way he plays. He's so shifty and so explosive and so consistent and fun to watch in practice that I cannot wait to see what he does on the football field. So the running back room certainly concerns me a little bit, the guts of that defense, the transfer portal. Otherwise, it's been kind of business as usual down there. A couple more practices this week, another closed scrimmage this weekend, and then the spring game next Saturday. So looking forward to see what Boise State football provides us over these next couple of weeks.
Any final thing, whether it was Zach Hill talking last week or any of the previous coaches that have talked or players, has anything stood out to you in terms of any of the interviews the last week or two?
No, we did have Zach Hill last week, but Johnny and I did a one-on-one with him about 3 weeks ago, so it was a lot of the same getting to know you and welcome back to Boise coach type stuff. So the Zach Hill thing didn't do much for me. There was a couple of other interviews that were pretty basic at this point, pretty maintenance. Everybody's trying to figure out what to do with the defensive line, what to do with Braxton Feely. And, I fully expect Braxton Feely to, I don't want to guess or assume, but I'd be shocked if he doesn't sign with BYU. He's from the Orem area. He's one of the married players on this team. He met his high school sweetheart in the Orem and Provo area. And he's a good interior defensive lineman. And I think Boise State lost him to BYU. That's just my guess that BYU probably threw a couple $100,000. Braxton Feely's not the kind of guy that's going to go to the NFL. And if he is a young married guy from the Provo area and him and his wife want to go back and hang with their entire family and make a couple $100,000 to get their life started, are you kidding me? I guarantee you, because I saw some people on social media last week saying, oh, this doesn't align with Spencer Danielson's religion. He married them. What's going on here? Is the religion backfiring? No, I promise you. And I don't know this for a fact, but I would bet my next paycheck on this. I promise you that Spencer Danielson patted him on the back and said, bro, go get your money. Go set up your family. Go set up your life. BYU offered you that? Are you kidding me? I can't afford that, dude. Go to BYU, pat on the back, love you, cannot wait to see what you do at BYU, and it's all said, good, and done. I really believe that that's the scenario we're looking at here, and I would suspect that Braxton Feely is going to announce a BYU NIL deal here in the next couple of weeks. We'll see how that plays out. So otherwise, no, I don't think that there's been too much. We'll dive back into football this week and next week and hopefully come up with some more storylines, but so far, it's been kind of business as usual.
I thought it was interesting. Spencer did say, Yeah, good luck to him. I love him, but I don't think he made the right choice. Like, I mean, he was honest. He was honest about that. He's like, I think he should have stayed and would have been better off here, but he has to do what he has to do, and wish him the best of luck. And yeah, I mean, he married him. It was the aficionado in his wedding or whatever. I mean, it's crazy. Mike, appreciate your time as always. I know it's a big week on Idaho Sports Talk. Johnny's back from vacation. You guys will wrap up basketball season, and I'm sure Stacey Collins talking today. You'll be all over that as well.
Yeah, and Jeremiah Dickey's making the rounds. I know you had him, and he's doing his monthly appearances. Tomorrow we'll have him, Ask the AD with JD as our monthly segment, so we're going to dive into that. Keep an eye on the House settlement today. As ugly and as confusing as it is, it's one of the most important rulings. And maybe nothing happens today with the court rulings, but there's something significant happening in an Oakland courtroom today. I guarantee you that JD is looking at this one very, very close, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with the House settlement. It's essentially their marching plans for revenue sharing, this new Bronco Pro that they've rolled out, and how they can handle that. It's basically the rules, the playbook of success, and that's what the judge is supposed to decide today, although I suspect that based on court rulings that they could table this for just a little bit. But big time things happening this week. National championship basketball game tonight, and it's a kind of a fun time of year, BJ. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we got, I mean, at some point, Pac-12 media news should be coming, and
yes.
There's all kinds of stuff down the pipe here at some point that'll be coming. The format for the playoff, are they going to change it for next year? That's supposed to be voted the next couple of weeks, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of big picture stuff that could drop literally at any time as well. Mike Prater here moving forward. So they'll have you covered when it does. Idaho Sports Talk 3 to 6 weekdays, 95.3 FM, 1350 AM. You can download their app. You can listen at KTIK.com. I have the Apple Podcast app, and you can listen back to it. You get that thing posted pretty quickly right after the show ends. So it's up there, and folks can listen to all the interviews and show and things on there. And we appreciate our partnership with KTIK. We'll have Johnny on Thursday, but in about an hour and 10 minutes here, we'll have Stacey Collins, and I know they'll be all over that. We'll get that video posted to BNN, and I know we've got some other articles kind of reviewing basketball season, turning our attention to the off season and football as well. So, Mike, appreciate you as always. Thanks to all of our folks that commented for watching. Go support the sponsors. Go subscribe. Give us a like, a share, retweet, all that good stuff. Listen 3 o'clock today to Johnny and Prater, and then Jay Tuss and I will be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. If news breaks, we'll have you covered at BNN and KTIK. We'll talk to you guys later. This is Bronco Nation News Live on a Blue and Orange Store Monday, brought to you by our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. He's Mike Prater. I'm BJ Rains. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.